Now this week is Parshas Lech Lecha, and right after Avraham Avinu had the bris milah, Hashem told him, Lech Lecha, go to, didn't tell him where, but he told him, leave your land and go to El-Aret Asher, and which we know was the land of Canaan, which was the land of Eretz Yisrael. Hashem told Avraham Avinu right after Milah, go to Eretz Yisrael. And Rashi, right at the beginning of the parasha, says, there you'll be able to grow, you'll be able to have your children, but here not. So obviously we see right away that in order for Klal Yisrael to grow, to become what it became, Avraham had to leave from Ur Kasdim, from Haran, and he had to go live in Eretz Yisrael. Now what the mitzvah of living in Eretz Yisrael is, we see two different reasons in the Rishonim. What is the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael? The Pashut reason, which most of the Rishonim say is because there's a lot of mitzvahs that are tluyos ba'aretz, a lot of mitzvahs that you can only do in Eretz Yisrael, you can't do any place else. Therefore, it's a mitzvah to go live in Eretz Yisrael in order to be able to be mekayim those mitzvahs that you can't do any place else, only in Eretz Yisrael. It's called mitzvahs at tluyos ba'aretz. Because of those mitzvahs, there's a mitzvah to go ahead and live in Eretz Yisrael. That's what a lot of the Rishonim say, and we'll see soon the Torah brings that reason also. That's one reason. Then there's a famous Taisvis, Shittus of Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Taisvis brings down in Ksubis, that says that today there's no mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael, and he says the reason is because it's hard to keep the mitzvahs at tluyos ba'aretz, and if you're going to go there and they're going to have the mitzvahs and you can't do them, you're going to be over on them. Therefore, stay away from Eretz Yisrael. Now, this Reb Chaim is a very, we all know, a lot spoken about this shit is Ben Chaim, and Ad Kedei Kach, the Pischei Tshuva brings down that some people want to say it was Eze Talmud Toya that said this Rabbeinu Chaim. Made a mistake. He quoted it wrong. After that, the Achronim say that maybe that we don't go with the shittas of Rabbeinu Chaim. So if it's come out, all the Rishonim, all the Achronim will hold even today. La'achar Churban Habayis, there is still a mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban includes it as one of the mitzvahs of Taryag. The Rambam doesn't. This we all. I'm not going to get involved in all that. But I'd like to speak about what is the reason why there is a mitzvah Yishuv. So either it's because of mitzvah tluyos ba'aretz, or there's another reason why. So let's start over with the Torah. The Torah says that after we eat something, not washing, something from the Shivas Aminim, we make al michya, we make al eitz al pri eitz, we make al gefen al pri gefen. So what exactly is the nusach that we say? It's called bracha me'en shalosh. Why is it called bracha me'en shalosh? Because it's taken benching, and it takes parts of benching. It puts the three brachas of benching. The fourth bracha of benching at Toiva Meitiv was added later on. So the main part of benching is the first three brachas of benching, and those three brachas of benching we take and we condense them, we put them together, and that's called bracha me'en shalosh, which is the al-michid that we make. Because you have Hazan, you have Rachemla, Uvnei Yerushalayim, all of that is condensed into the Alam Michya that we have. That's why it's called Bracha Achas Me'en Shalosh. It's one bracha which comes from the three brachas together. Now in that bracha there's a question exactly what the nusach is. So the Torah says, V'yesh Oimrim, we have, which is our nusach. Pass me the siddur a second. So we have al michya al kol. Let's say about Tumas Sal Da'etz Chama Tayv Rechava. Sheretzisav and Chatala V'Seinu. We thank Hashem for the land that He gave us. And then it says in our nusach, Lech Chom Mepirya V'Lizboya Mituva, to eat from its peiros and they get full from its good. That's the nusach al-michya that we have. So the Torah says, "V'yesh ayimrim v'necha v'pirya v'nizba v'tuva." Some people add to the al-michya v'necha v'pirya v'nizba v'tuva v'ein la'imroi. But you shouldn't say it. Why not? She'ein lachmai da'aretz b'shvil pereha v'toiva. You shouldn't want Eretz Yisrael because of its fruits and because of the good things, the good gashmis in Eretz Yisrael. That's not why you want Eretz Yisrael. Elo lekayim ha-mitzvahs atluyis ba adkan. The reason why we want Eretz Yisrael is only so we could be able to mekayim the mitzvahs hatluyis ba'aretz. That's what the Torah says. And therefore says the Torah, we don't say in Alamichya, lechem apriya v'lezboya mituva, we just keep, like we have a Lech Lecha, Eretz Chem v'toivu rechava, rachimna, and uvnei yishleim ben HaKodesh. These are the three brachas me'en shalosh that we have of benching. It says the Torah, we don't say the lechem apriya v'lezboya mituva. We don't want Eretz Yisrael because of its payers. We want Eretz Yisrael just to be mekayim the mitzvahs atluyis ba'aretz. That's the way the Torah paskins. And says the Torah about Doini Avi Rosh Zal Loi Haya Imroi. He didn't say it. The Bereshis had a different gears in the Torah that his gears was Doini Avi Rosh Zal Haya Imroi. He did say it, and therefore we pass on like the Bereshis, and we do say Lacha V'Pir V'Zboy Metuva. And the question is why? Torah has a good taina. We want Eretz Yisrael because we want to eat the peiros of Eretz Yisrael. We want Eretz Yisrael because we want to do the mitzvah Tluyis Ba'aretz. So the Bach is a famous Bach here that explains why we do say it. And it says the Bach like this. He asks us, there's a kash on the Torah, Teima. How like Kedushas Ha'aretz, Hanishpas Ba, Kedushas Ha'aretz Al Yena, Eretz Yisrael has Kedusha that comes from Lamaila, from the Shemayim. He nishpas gabe peireseo. That kedusha that comes min Hashemayim into Eretz Yisrael is ashpa even on the peiros of the land of Israel. Sheyen kin mekdushas hashchina. The peiros themselves have in its kedusha. When the Shechina gives its kedusha into Eretz Yisrael, it gives it into the peiros of Eretz Yisrael also. Hashechenes b'kerev haaretz. Ke'alkein hiziv omer b'sai pashas masai. Don't make my land tamei. And if you do, the tumah that you have in the land will go into its peiros also. Says the Bach. Therefore, through eating the peiros of the land of Eretz Yisrael, Anu nizoyne mikdushas hashchina umitaharasa v'nizba mituvasa. Says the Bach, through eating the peiros of Eretz Yisrael, we get the kedusha and the shchina that lies in Eretz Yisrael. We get it through eating the peiros of Eretz Yisrael. That's what the Bach says. That's what the Bach says. That's why we say that we ask Hashem, it should bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. We're saying the lechem apriya for l'zboy b'tuva, because through that we're getting the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. So you see, the Torah says the reason why we want to go into Eretz Yisrael is because to mekayim the mitzvah tluyis ba'aretz, nothing to do with the peiros. The Bach says a different level, that we want to go to Eretz Yisrael even just to eat the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, because that way we'll have the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. And if you look in the Chassam Sofer in Shuvas, in Yeridei Siman Reish Lamed Dalet, Chassam Sofer says, "V'hine lechayre mashma loy mishum mitzvahs atluyis b'Eretz Yisrael v'Yerushalayim koifin." So he's going now, there's halacha, which we'll get to soon, more Bereshis. There's halacha in Evan Ezer. A couple gets married, and they're living in Toronto, Thornhill. And then after a year, the husband says, you know what? I want to move to Eretz Yisrael.
It's the other way around.
Okay.
The wife wants to.
That's the question, we'll see that in a second. But the husband decides after a year, I want to move to Eretz Yisrael. She says, I'm not going. I don't want to go.
It was in the contract.
It was in the contract, right? I'm not going. So the Gemara in Ksubah says he's allowed to force her to come with him to live in Eretz Yisrael. He's allowed to force her kaifin. You're allowed to force your wife to come with you to live in Eretz Yisrael. And if she refuses, and she said, listen, you know what? You want to go to Eretz Yisrael? You can go, I'm staying here. Find yourself a new wife. It's okay?
No, and send me the checks.
What? I'll go. He says, go. I don't care if you go, but listen, find yourself a new wife. I'm staying here. The halacha is, he gives her a get, but Teitze beloy ksuba. He's not mechuyev to give her a ksuba.
Wow.
That's a punishment. That means he's allowed to force her to come with him to Eretz Yisrael, and if she decides to stay behind, she wants a get, it's Teitze beloy ksuba. You want to leave? That's because on your own will you want to leave. He's allowed to force her to come to Eretz Yisrael. Teitze beloy ksuba. And there's a shayla that the same thing is the opposite. If she wants to go to Eretz Yisrael, is she allowed to force him? And if he says, I'm not going, and she goes, she wants to get from him, it's Teitze big ksuba. She could say, I want to get and my ksuba.
But there, leave. Here.
So it's the same thing, the opposite.
It's a different story, no?
No, same thing, the opposite.
Is that the same story?
Same thing. If they're living in Eretz Yisrael, and she wants to leave, or he wants to leave, he can't force her. She could say, no, I'm staying here. He could say, I'm staying here. You want to go to Chutz La'aretz? You go to Chutz La'aretz. Teitze b'lei ksuba. Says the Chassam Sefer, the reason why he's allowed to force her to go to Eretz Yisrael, why is he allowed to force her to go live in Eretz Yisrael? What's the mitzvah to go live in Eretz Yisrael? Says the Chassam Sefer, Lav Mishum mitzvah atluis b'Eretz Yisrael. It's not because of all the mitzvahs that we have in Eretz Yisrael. Ela Mishum kedushas atzma. The kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, you could say, I want to live in a Mokem Kadosh. Eretz Yisrael has kedusha in it. I want to live in a Mokem Kadosh. Like the Gemara says. It says even more. The Divrei Ben Chaim Kohen in Taisvis that says that today there's no mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael, so can't be Mekayim all the mitzvahs. That reason to be Mekayim the mitzvahs, if anything, it's the reason why you shouldn't live in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore he says that he brings a Tashbat. Tashbat is mashma that the reason why you live in Eretz Yisrael is because the mitzvah of Luis Baretz. Chassam Sefer argues and says the reason is because of Kedusha Eretz Yisrael.
Does the same halacha apply if they're let's say they're living in Tel Aviv and they says I want to live in Yerushalayim?
So that's whole.
The same thing with
So that's the whole. Yeah, that's the whole truth. Chassam Sefer. That's the Gemara Ksubas. The Gemara Ksubas says yes. Yerushalayim is a higher Kedusha than any place else. Interesting, Chassam Sefer has a whole thing over here. It says in his days, it said that Tzvas had a mile over Yerushalayim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he comes out against it. He says Yerushalayim is a higher Kedusha than Tzvas. And then he says, so the whole reason why there's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael is because of the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. Ain't the Konis Kam a pilpul if Kedusha Rishon a Kitchel Shaita, like Kitchel Shaita, Kitchel Shaita, Shaita Geya. Because the reason why we're living in Eretz Yisrael is because of the Kedusha which is in Eretz Yisrael, and it ends up like this. Very interesting. Chassam Sefer. We're not busy now. We're not trying to figure out if the mitzvahs that are noig in Eretz Yisraal are noig today also. Mitzvah tluis ba'aretz are they noig today or not? It's machlokes in the Rishonim. If Tommy mutal l'kanesh sham aloi, if Tommy is allowed to go to the Rabbi or not, machlokes Rambam and Ravid, we're not getting into that. He says. Why? Raf b'kedusha al yoyna, the kedusha al yoyna that's there now in Eretz Yisrael. Yerushalayim hu shara shamayim yimois olam. Yerushalayim is the gateway up to heaven from creation. Afiluk shahoy hayavusi yeshiv Yerushalayim. Even when other nations were living in Eretz Yisrael, the kedusha was there. It was always there. It never left. V'aknani v'aprizi ozbaretz doesn't make a difference. The kedusha of Eretz Yisrael was there from day one. V'loi zaza, it never left. V'loi tazuz, it will never leave. Shechina be'kaisel ma'aravi afilu b'cherbayna. The kedusha of the kaisel ma'aravi will never leave, even the achar korban abayis. Allah shana Chassam Sefer. So the Chassam Sefer is very strong to say that the whole Yishuv Eretz Yisrael today, the whole mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael today, has nothing to do with the mitzvah Tluis Ba'aretz. It's for one reason. There's a kedusha in Eretz Yisrael, and that kedusha, you could force your wife to move to Eretz Yisrael to live with that kedusha.
So why doesn't Yeshiva world push beef?
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. We'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll take care of everything. But there's one thing I want to bring out, which is a little touchy subject, that you see from over here, that the reason why some Sefer and even the Bach, there's a mile of living in Eretz Yisrael, it's Kedusha Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes we get carried away, and we want to go to Eretz Yisrael. Everyone loves Eretz Yisrael. The Achrayim bring down stories of the Avot that a Klaisel has Eretz Yisrael. There's an Avot without any explanation. We don't understand it. Sometimes people get carried away, and they go into Eretz Yisrael because it's our land, and we love it because it's our land. That's not why we love Eretz Yisrael. It could also be true. Something that you kind of be serious nefesh. There's also a hava to it, 100%. But it's not the mitzvah yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Mitzvah yishuv Eretz Yisrael is there's a certain kedusha in Eretz Yisrael that when someone goes to Eretz Yisrael, that's why I'm going. I want to live in a Mokim Kaddish in Eretz Yisrael. Not any other ulterior motives. Now, the Mendel has the kasha.
So it's a dangerous place to live if you don't want to live in a Mokim Kaddish.
There. Yes. Okay. If you don't want to live in one country, yeah, okay, that's a whole different topic. That was the whole, the people who were against it for that reason. The Satmar Rebbe, who was against Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, was he felt that we're not roy to live in such a Kaddish place, and if we are, it'll just be detrimental, it'll be worse for us. You have to be in a certain daga to be able to live there. And if we're not living there correctly, okay, it's a taina to us. Okay, that was his shita. I'm not going to get involved in that right now. It's a separate shita, and I don't think here's the place to get into it. But no, I don't think he's not for now at least. Very different time. But there's definitely a kedusha in Israel that we should want to live in Israel because there's a kedusha in Israel. Now the question is, if such a mitzvah to go live in Israel, why isn't everybody moving to Israel and settling there?
No job.
So the Pesach Tshuva brings down a likut of Achronim on this question. And it says like this: Pesach Tshuva and Even HaEzer on this halacha of a husband's allowed to force his wife to come live in Eretz Yisrael. It says the Pesach Tshuva like this: There was once a child that came to him, into him ill stalker. Shloisha chaverim shirot alisa Eretz Yisrael heim v'neshayim uvneim aktanim. 3 families decided they want to move to Eretz Yisrael. They live somewhere in Chutz La'aretz. They want to all together go move to Eretz Yisrael. Now the kids were Shnayim v'Shaloshanim, 2, 3-year-olds, young kids. But the Bezdin of the city, when they heard that these families want to move to Eretz Yisrael, Roitzim la'akav al-yada. They said you can't go. They held them back from moving to Eretz Yisrael. Shaloi lisa im bonim aktanim mechshash sakana. Sakana. You go there, and the kids may not make it there. Pen la yuklu lizbol tzad total aderach me'nua asfinois v'shinui avir. The Bezdin there wanted to hold them back from going to Eretz because the kids won't be able to survive the trip. Maybe.
Does he say from what city this is?
Doesn't say what city it is. No.
So that's not a reference to Eretz Yisrael. That's a reference to distant travel.
Right. But a regular traveler say for sure you shouldn't go.
Right.
But the question was to go to Eretz Yisrael. Maybe there was a heter. So they came to the middle to talk about the question, and there's a whole arichas over here, and he says, and it comes out that definitely Bezdin cannot hold them back from going to Eretz Yisrael. Sakana, okay, everyone will check if their kids can handle or not. You can't hold somebody back from going to Eretz Yisrael. They want to move there. There's no problem of Total Derech. You worry about the kids. In those days, he said also there was a problem of kids in Total Derech, and still they went. They gotta go to Eretz Yisrael. But then he says at the end a very interesting thing. Omnam kein tzarich b'tchil tanai echad. There's one tanai you have to know before you go on just a trip to Eretz Yisrael. There's one tanai you have to know. It's like this: Sheyilei mokem muchoin lias mosei sham panasasai. You have to have panasa. If you're going to Eretz Yisrael, you have no way of getting panasa, so you have no right to go. He says at the end of the tshuva, he brings down from the Nid Yehuda, he says, if you go to Eretz Yisrael, and after that you have the spasman at tzedakah, ve'ilu hoya b'chutz la'aretz, if we would have been living in chutz la'aretz, hoya chaylam lehispanes b'maisa yedayim, he could have lived from his own panasa, loy toiv oisin. It's not good. Why? Godel hanenim yigir kapoy, person who's nan from his own business is better than someone who gets tzedakah. So you want to go to Israel and live off tzedakah, you can't do that. It says, Asay Shabbat Chachol, even for Shabbos, covered Shabbos, you shouldn't go take tzedakah for it to cover Shabbos. Asay Shabbat Chachol, so Kolshkin to go live in Eretz Yisrael, if you have no panasa, you don't go. One thing he says, and then he says another thing, you have to make sure you have a place to live over there. If you have no place to live or tight over there, and you're going over there, and it's hashpah, that's going to be a negative hashpah on you, then also you can't go. If you have a place where you're going to be able to keep your Yiddishkeit, and you'll have Parnasa, then you go to Eretz Yisrael. And then it says like this, very interesting Piskei Tshuva. It says if you chosh Chas Shalom, the kids will go Tabra Sirah. If you go to Eretz Yisrael, you can't do that.
It's amazing that's a concern, even back then.
Yeah, it was a concern. It was a big concern even in those days. You moved to Eretz Yisrael, and the kids. The cloud is, you should know that when people move, especially in such different societies, teenage kids usually, teenage kids usually fall through the cracks. But cloud was there. Says the Piskei Tshuva, Ashrei hazoich lekach. Ashrei is someone who's zoich to go to Eretz Yisrael. Ve'eina nitzrich lebrius. With Spanish, shama full chayit sar. Even if it's very hard for him to live, but he's willing to get away with very, very meager means. Ashrei, ashrecha. If you could do that, ashrecha v'toivlach.
So it doesn't have to be the same parnasa you had.
No, it has to be. They're not coming on to other people.
It's that you're not.
It has to be. If you could live at Eretz Yisrael on much less parnasa, and you're willing to push yourself and have less, ashrei. It's ashrecha. It's very good for you. V'yavar Hashem, aval ein kol adam zoich lekach. V'kvar na'agu ha'am she'einam noisim bonim ktanim. V'hakol b'shvil koishi hasagas haparnasa sham v'choiv hu lektanim. It's not good for kids to move there because they go to Tabra Sirah. That's what he says.
Because of?
They go to Tabra Sirah. That's what he says. So if you want to know a kavskos on why people aren't moving to Eretz Yisrael, so Piskei Tshuva brings down a kavskos. Ashrei is someone who can move there, he can settle there, and everything could, with Parnasa, and there's a place for his kids to learn, Ashrecha. But if you can go there, and you're not going to have Parnasa, you have to come out to Tzedakah, or you're going to go there, and the kids will end up going with Tabra Sirah, definitely you should not go. So that's the question why today we don't push.
Is getting paid by a kollel, is that called tzedakah or is that called parnasa?
No, that's called a parnasa. It's called a parnasa. Yeah, you have a shubit.
That's his occupation.
Yeah, you have a shubit. That's a person's shubit to be there. He can't do what he wants.
So this only works if you have small kids and you're not retired. If you're retired and you're an older person, there's no reason you shouldn't move there as well.
Maybe so person tired and has no kids.
The pension covers
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, if everything covers it. If everything covers it. Yeah, but it's not. But there's another thing. There's another thing which is also he doesn't bring it down. I've seen other places. So every person who's retired should move there. So the problem is when you get even older than that, when you get to Ben Tisha, whenever you have to come out to people to help you, your kids aren't there. So who's going to help you? So you come on to other people to help you. That's where you're coming on to other people.
But not
these things. Even Starch Lebrius. These things are all considered. These are all kavschusim of why people aren't or wanting to live in Eretz Yisrael.
Is there a responsibility for what you're leaving behind if you're, let's say,
so I know somebody,
an important person in the community?
So I know somebody who's a Rav, and he went to the Stipler. He's willing to pick up some move to Eretz Yisrael. So the Stipler told him, you have a shul. You have people who are coming to you for advice, and Marbit's tired there. You have no right to move to Eretz Yisrael. You have a chiyuv to stay with them.
Said the same thing.
Huh?
Rabbi says the same
thing. Yeah.
If you're successful and you have an influence on people, you can't.
You can't just move there. You have to take it on. So every situation is different. Every situation needs a reason why. But one thing we see for sure, there is definitely a kedusha Eretz Yisrael that everyone should want to go there and want to live there. And if you can't,
I can't afford to live there.
Yeah, if a person can't afford to live there, go. It's not going to happen. Also, it's not going to.
You feel bad about it,
So, but we say in the Alamichya, we do say v'noichem apir v'nizma b'tuva, and that even though the Torah says they shouldn't say it, the Bereshis comes out they should say it. As another thing that we have, another big difference that we have. At the end of the Alamichya, when Messiah, the Alamichya or La Paris, so we say like this: Yat Hashem Tov Meitach Meitach Alaretz V'Ala Paris, Baruch Atah Hashem Ala Oretz V'Ala Paris. That's what we say. Anytime you eat a Paris in the Shivas Aminim, which is I'm not sure why, which is some people either they don't know it or they don't realize it. Anytime you eat grapes, anytime you eat anything like that, you have to make ala peiros, ala V'Ala Peiros.
One grape, right?
Yes, that's a different child. That's a different child. When they have to make the eitz or pre-eitz or al michya, so you have to have a shear. You have to have a kazayis. You have to have a. So what happens if you eat a berry? It's a different child. If you eat a berry, you eat a complete thing. It's a one grape. So it's a machlokes if you make al eitz on one grape or not. So machlokes is what you do. The Mechaber brings down the machlokes, and the Mechaber says, since the machlokes, to suffer what you should do, don't eat one grape. That's what the Mechaber says. It's interesting. It doesn't say it's a wafen. But the Mechaber, I think it's in Reish Yud, the Mechaber says, something is like it was made, which is a grape, let's say, one grape, which is a very serious problem today. Because today they add the rimoin pits, the pomegranate pits, to every salad. They're adding it all the time. Now a lot of times you don't have a kazayas together. You eat a salad, there's one or two rimoin pits in it, one or two pomegranate pits in it.
Usually during that's usually during a Suda.
If it's during a Suda, you're right. If it's during a Suda, you wash it right. But if it's not during a Suda, and you're eating it, and you have 2 or 3 pomegranate pits inside, you have a suffix. Do you make all the eights in there or not?
Pit is called a berry?
Yeah. A pomegranate pit is called a berry. That itself says the garger shel rimoin. A pomegranate pit is called a berry. So if you eat a salad, and inside the salad is 2 or 3 pomegranate pits, so the you have a suffix. Do you make all the eights or not? Right? So says the Mechaber. So the suffix. The kach nachon says the Mechaber lizar shel lechol beria pachas mikazayis. Don't eat less than a kazayis if it's a beria. Unless you need a kazayis. A kazayis of pomegranate pits is a nice amount.
What if you cut your grapes in 2 pieces or 3 pieces?
So it's not kabriyasa.
That's not
kabriyasa. If you cut it up, it's not kabriyasa anymore. You're fine. It has to be whole.
Can you combine like grapes, pomegranate, olives, and
you could. Yeah, you can combine the different shivas aminim. Olives.
Every Shabbos everybody has fruit salad.
Yeah, but fruit salad has to be eights from the shivas aminim. If it's oranges and grapefruits, you can't be mitzvah to have all the eights. So then at the end of the benching, at the end of the al-aretz, al-michya, we say al-aretz val-peiris, but if you're eating peiris from Eretz Yisrael, you say al-peirisel. Now, when you say al-peirisel, it's because the fruits come from Eretz Yisrael. People don't realize it. The whole al-michya that we're saying is a bracha with asking Hashem, and we're thanking Hashem for the peiris of Eretz Yisrael. That's what it is. And we're asking Hashem to bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, when you finish it, and if you're eating peiris for Eretz Yisrael, you say al-aretz val-peirisel, and it's peiris. You're eating fruit in Eretz Yisrael for sure. You say al-aretz val-peirisel, fruits from Eretz Yisrael, and you're in chutz la'aretz. Same thing.
You say peirisel?
You say peirisel. If you're eating a pomegranate from Eretz Yisrael, you say peirisel.
Make sure there's too much nice.
Yeah, you have to make sure Trumas Meisters. That's why Stammers are not a good to buy the pomegranates from Eretz Yisrael unless it's a store that takes the Trumas Meisters. But if not, you go into a regular fruit store and you buy a pomegranate that's made in Israel, you have a problem with Trumas Meisters. You shouldn't touch it unless you know how to take a Trumas Meisters.
It's not just pomegranate. There's everything.
Yeah, there's everything from Eretz Yisrael. You could buy peppers from Eretz Yisrael.
Green peppers.
Yeah, it's a lot of times you find peppers that says made in Israel.
They're doing the
How are you supposed to know?
It says on it.
It says in made in Israel. Yeah, you look at it. There's little stickers. Pomegranates have to be very careful, especially when it comes time to Rosh Hashanah. They're importing a lot of them.
Everything was from. There was no pomegranate from Chutz La'aretz. This year, only one place.
The one I went to. Yeah.
I know if Trumas and Meisters were taken.
Pashas they're not taken.
Really?
Pashas they're not taken. If you buy from a Goyish fruit store here, Pashas they're not taken.
So how do you take it off?
If it's in a package, you could say on the package that it's taken.
No, they don't have. They don't have it. There's nothing. The only thing is that you don't make a bracha on it because you don't know if they have. There's a suffix if there's there.
You take off a suffix. We have to take off Trumas Meisters.
How do you take it off?
So you have to have a Pruta Chamura. It's a whole process.
It's a whole sheet. It's on the
It's not.
It's in the article.
Yeah, it's in the article, but you have to.
The article doesn't explain it.
Yeah.
You go to the COR website.
Yeah, the COR is very clear with it, and the COR has a Pruta Chamura to let you use it. So if you go to the COR website, they explain very nicely how to do it. If you buy pomegranates from Eretz Yisrael, see why is.
Taught us how to do it, and we.
Yeah, it's not very complicated. It's not very complicated.
Why bring the sheet next week?
Huh?
Why bring the sheet?
It's a whole conversion.
Okay, so maybe we'll go through it once. So but besides the fact that Trumas and Maisvis, you also have to say Al Michav Al Peresel. Now, if you're not sure if it comes from Eretz Yisrael or not, Mistafik, we don't say Al Peresel, we say Al Peres. But that's about Peres, and we try to stay away unless you know what you're doing with Trumas and Maisvis. Anyway, we try to stay away from fruits from Eretz Yisrael.
All the herbs today also is coming from Israel. People don't realize that every herb they eat is
What?
herbs such as
Basil.
basil, the other one, the very rosemary. All these are 90% from Israel. You have to read all the pack. People are buying it and using it. They don't even realize. They don't think. No Phil has it. Someone brought it to me.
US.
It goes off and back. It goes
No,
back.
you'll have to take off Trumas and Maisvis. I know you're not going to make Al Peresel because it's a spice. Not even enough. But there's another thing also. In the Pesachim it says, Peres come from Eretz Yisrael. At the end of Al Michav you say Al Aretz Al Peresel. How about, there's another bracha here, of Al Anyayin. You drink wine, you say Al Michav Val Pri Agofen. Right? Now, in the Pesachim it doesn't say anything about, if you have wine from Eretz Yisrael, what do you say? Do you say Al Aretz Al Pri Gafna? So in Shulchan Aruch it's not brought down Mechal. But the Achrayim will say, if on Peres you say Peresel, so then on wine, you say Al Gafna. And most Pesachim hold the way, also some Pesachim hold not the way, that it says since the Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch, a Pesachim is not brought down at all to say Val Arz Al Gafna. It says Peresel, doesn't say Al Gafna, therefore we always say Al Gafen. But most people go with the other Shita, that if you eat Peres, if you drink wine from Eretz Yisrael, you say Al Aretz Val Pri Gafna. Not Val Aretz Val Pri Gafna, Al Pri Gafna. Now this is very common. Wine from Eretz Yisrael you have all the time. Wine from Eretz Yisrael you have all the time.
But again, it's during the meal, so you're part of it.
Yeah, if it's during the meal, if you make by a Kiddush.
You make Kiddush on Shabbos?
By a Kiddush, it's Al Gafna. Yeah. Most of the don't say Pri Gafna.
The Hebrew English one doesn't have it. It just says Peroteh.
What does it say there?
In Hebrew it says it says even Yayim Eretz Yisrael or Merva Pri Gafnaima. Pri Eretz Yisrael Merva Peroteh.
Yeah, so most people hold you do say Al Aretz Al Pri Gafna. If you see some stuff, don't say it.
This one has it, the other ones don't.
It depends. Because the other person that hold that since the Mechaber and it's not brought down anywhere in Halacha Pri Gafna, only a Peresel, they could have easily said the same thing by Yayin. They don't say it. It's right by Yayin. You don't do it. I'm not sure why, but most places hold they do say Al Pri Gafna. So this is very common. You get wine from Eretz Yisrael is very, very common.
Yeah, but who has wine by himself? You just during a meal.
No, we have wine by Kiddush. You go to Kiddush on Shabbos, and there's wine.
Yeah.
So you have to make Al Michav Pri Agofen.
After before you wash.
Yeah. A. B. Havdalah. Havdalah.
Very good.
When you make Havdalah, after you make Havdalah, you make Al Aretz Pri Agofen. And if it's a Yain Shal Yisrael, which happens all the time, you have to say Al Aretz Pri Gafna. People don't realize that they buy the wine. You have to make sure if it's wine from Eretz Yisrael. If you said Al Pri Gafen,
It's also
you don't have to worry about it. If you say Al Pri Gafen on wine from Chutz from Eretz Yisrael, you yaitzer l'chol hashitas. And if you say Al Peres on Peres from Eretz Yisrael, you also yaitzer. It's not a problem. But the correct way to do it is, if you have wine from Eretz Yisrael, you have to make sure they say Al Aretz Al Pri Gafna.
If you say Al Michav by mistake instead of benching, do you bench?
If you say Al Michav, instead, you have to bench.
Why? Because if it's all inclusive, why would you have to bench?
Because it's a short version. It's not enough. You have to.
benching is the
So if you're in the middle and you realize that you'd stop where you are and start
Stop benching. Yeah.
You'd stop where you are.
If you're making Al Michav and you realize you washed, you stop and you start your bench.
That happens.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's one thing I think it's good to bring to their attention, because a lot of people don't realize it. You take wine from Eretz Yisrael, you say Al Aretz Al Pri Gafna, and you see, if you keep on realizing that and you keep paying attention to it, then you realize what comes from Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't come from Eretz Yisrael. Even though we're living in Chutz La'aretz, there's some connection to Eretz Yisrael. And like the Bach says, the payers that come from Eretz Yisrael have a certain kedusha in it. So when we're eating the payers of Eretz Yisrael, even though we're living in Eretz Yisrael, that kedusha you have. So maybe it's kedai to go ahead and buy wine, payers where there's no problem with Trumas and Maisvis. If there's a problem with Trumas and Maisvis, you have to be careful. You don't want to be Yesas Charav Avseidai. You don't want to be Mitzvah Bab Aveira. But if it's wine, any wine you're buying, there's no problem with Trumas and Maisvis because it has a hechsher on it. It's all fine. So if you buy wine from Eretz Yisrael, and you make sure you make a prigafna, you should have in mind that this is Eretz Yisrael.
So it would be best to buy the fruits and vegetables there as well for the same reason.
Right,
and
but
do
make sure you take a
proper
Trumas Mayim, 100%. If you buy Peiris from Eretz Yisrael, you have the Kedusha there, so like the Bach says, in the Peiris. So even though we're living in Chutz La'aretz, you have the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz also.
They taste better and sweeter, and they make sure to that.
Once you get used to it, it's not a hard process.
Right.
Once you get used to the process of taking up Trumas Mayim, it's not a hard process. One week we'll go through the process.